Hi, I'm Erica Gregory, and if you're a parent whose child has seen that gruesome TikTok that's been going around, this video is for you. As a marriage and family therapist, I've been working with teens, adults, and children who've experienced trauma, and the fact that a video this gruesome is going around really upsets me because I know the impact it can have. What's really important is, as a parent, how you have a conversation with your teen and knowing the warning signs if they're okay long term. So in this video, I'm going to dive into both of those things. How to have the conversation, and is my child having PTSD-like symptoms? Before we get started, I would like to invite you to join our community by clicking the subscribe button below. Our mission is to create videos like these to support the family and you as a parent. I'd also invite you to leave a comment, your experience, a question down in the comment sections below, and create a conversation. Let's start supporting each other as we move through this together. All right, to dive in, I think we should start with how to have the conversation. That's the crucial first step, is just talking to your child about the video they saw and how it's impacting them. Instead of telling them we're going to talk, which is a lot of parents' style, hey, we're going to talk about this. Invite them to talk. Hey, I heard about this TikTok video. Would you like to talk about it? Have you seen it? How are you feeling about it? What are your thoughts about it? What are your friends saying about it? So kind of inviting the dialogue. If your adolescent or preteen says, no, I don't want to talk about it, here's the hard part. Respect that. Say, okay, maybe now is not the right time, but here's where you step up as a parent and set a boundary. We do need to have a conversation about this because it's really important and I care about you. How about tomorrow, Wednesday after school, we go get coffee, we go to that favorite place, we walk, whatever that is for you and your family, and we talk then. Because what that does is it gets a sense of structure and a sense of safety around the conversation. They know what to expect, you know what to expect. And when something like this, it can be so chaotic with our thoughts, so chaotic with our feelings, because it was a very chaotic thing that they witnessed. Having a sense of structure and expectation can calm the nerves a little bit. They can prepare for the conversation. They know it's coming. It's not a knee-jerk, hey, we're going to talk about this right now, and they don't know what to say. They can emotionally prepare and mentally prepare for that conversation. The next step when you're asking the questions is to use active listening with the response. Now, active listening is hearing what the other person is saying and reflecting it back instead of interjecting anything else we want to put in. So let me give you an example of active listening and what active listening is not. It is not advice. It is not our opinion, and it is not interjecting what our thoughts are. So let me backtrack a little bit. So say your child says, my friend said this and I can't believe her, whatever that may be, fill in the blank there. Active listening looks like, your friend said that? Wow, that must have been hard. You're not commenting, you're not giving advice, you're not redirecting the conversation back to you. You're focusing on how they feel and what they just shared with you. And by doing that, everything in your body is saying, I care about what you just said. And that's really powerful to receive when you're the person sharing. So here's an example of what active listening is not. Okay, my friend said that. I can't believe her. Oh my goodness, let me tell you what you need to do. You need to go tell her that kind of like the tone has changed. Here's another example of what not to do. Oh my gosh, something happened to me like that yesterday. Let me tell you about it. So one is directed towards advice, away from how they feel, and the other is directed towards you, an example you have. Now, both of those things may feel okay to do, may feel like you're having a conversation, but with a topic like this that's so emotionally heavy, your child needs to feel heard in this moment. They need to know that you're with them and that you hear them. Also, in having a conversation, they may have a lot of questions. Why would someone post something like that? Why would someone do something like that? Those are tough questions for us as parents. Do we dive into all the details about suicide and about gory things? And what do we do? What do we say? rather than going into a long litany of explanations, how about we just reflect and validate how they're feeling by asking this question? So kind of slowing it down. Yeah, I have the same questions. This is really confusing, isn't it? So it's saying, I'm right there with you. I'm asking the same questions in my mind, and validate how it feels. This is hard to not know, not understand why someone could do this and why they would want to then post it on social media and spread it all over the place for everyone to see. This is a very tragic thing that occurred. And for that family should be a very private thing that occurred, but now it's very public. And so that's really sad that this is going around like that, isn't it? So it's just kind of going and painting the picture and validating the feeling, because that's really what they're saying. They're saying, I'm confused, I'm scared, I'm concerned. So help them kind of feel what they're feeling and be with what they're feeling, because that's what's really important. Long, lengthy explanations, you can almost kind of see it in someone's eyes when you're losing them, when they're not with you anymore. And that might happen with your teen if you try to over-explain. Another part with having the conversation is talking about suicide itself, because that's what this particular video was about. The more we avoid talking about suicide, the more often it can happen. There's something that we've been able to measure over time is the copycat syndrome, where if one teenager in a high school commits suicide or attempts, then counselors see a lot more attempts or unfortunate successes in that same high school. And a middle school that I went to personally many years ago, one person committed suicide, and then there was another suicide 2 weeks later and an attempt a few weeks after that. So it got to such a state that the whole school was called in into a big assembly with lots of counselors to kind of talk about suicide, and that's what stopped it. Talking about it stops it. So explaining this is what someone who was really suffering, someone who was really scared, someone who didn't know what to do, and they handled it this way. And this is a phrase that I like to use with it. It is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. They feel overwhelmed, they feel very emotional, they feel very upset, and they do something extremely permanent, lifelong. They cannot alter this. They cannot come back from death to fix a feeling state that would have been temporary. And so to talk to your teen about, if you're upset, if you're feeling down, you can come to us, you can talk to a friend, you can go to your school counselor. If you need someone else to have extra support with, there's counselors in our area that can help. And so having that conversation so they know, you can come to me. We can talk about this. It's okay to talk about this. This isn't taboo. This isn't weird. This happens sometimes, and it's really sad when it does. If there are any other aspects of having the conversation you want me to talk a little more about, please comment below, and then I'll do a follow-up video on that. I think another aspect of this that may be overlooked is, how are you feeling? Your child witnessed something horrific. You may have witnessed this horrific thing too. Are you okay? We forget to think about ourselves sometimes. And if we're not okay, how can we support our child? So if you need time to journal, if you need time to reflect, if you need a space to talk, give yourself that place, that space. If we're busy, if we're going, if we have responsibilities on our shoulders until the moment we go to bed, we don't have space and time to process this as an adult, as a parent. So give yourself permission to have that space. It's okay to not be okay. And the more you take care of yourself, the more you put your face mask on like they talk about in the plane, the more you'll be able to help your child. To transition, let's talk about what are the warning signs that your child is struggling after witnessing something like that, PTSD-like symptoms. But just to clarify, these symptoms can apply to any kind of traumatic experience, whether it's witnessed online or experienced in the real world. So what is PTSD? Post-traumatic stress disorder. What this means is the brain has identified a stimulus, something in our environment, the red shirt, as dangerous, and it has an automatic unconscious response to it to protect you. Now, this protective mechanism doesn't always work. It works if you see a bear in the woods, to run or to fight, that fight or flight response. But when you're a soldier who just came back from war and a car backfires and you drop to the ground and you take your kids with you, that response is no longer useful, but the body is primed to do it automatically. In the wartime, that would have saved that soldier's life. But at home, now it's a stimulus that's getting in the way of their life. So that's what PTSD symptoms are, is when the brain has been primed and triggered to do that response, that safety response, but then it's backfiring. So what are some of the symptoms of PTSD? One is difficulty sleeping, difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, and waking up with nightmares. A big hallmark of PTSD is reliving the memory over and over again, and that can happen in a nightmare. This can also impact someone's ability to eat. Either they're eating too much to cope with the emotional pain, or they're having trouble eating because the anxiety and the stress are impacting their stomach, and it makes them feel a little wheezy. Another huge hallmark of PTSD is having this fight or flight hypervigilant state. And when we're like that, it can make our whole body feel on edge and make it harder for us to eat. And when we're like that, that fight or flight, our peripheral vision, we're always kind of scanning the environment for danger because our body's kind of primed to protect ourselves when we're feeling PTSD-like symptoms. And so this may make us more distractible, a lot more clumsy, difficulty to focus and concentrate at school. So you may really see your child kind of almost feeling spacey, and they're having a more difficult time at school than before. This also can impact their relationships with their peers and with you. So they may feel more isolated than they typically are, because I know teens can typically isolate, but they may isolate more from their friends and from you. They may be in their room more, or they may be more clingy. They don't want to be alone. They don't want to be left alone at the home if it's age appropriate, or they just have a change of worldview. The world just doesn't seem as safe as it was before. Another key thing I look for if someone's struggling with PTSD is if they don't feel like they have control over how they're responding. So like in that example I gave with the soldier coming back from war, they drop down before they even realize what they're doing. Their body is reacting this way. And so with the fight or flight response, you may see your teen fighting you more, being more angry, more irritable, saying harsh things, more edgy, or you may see them flighting more, pulling away. Now this may be a flat face where they're not saying anything, or them walking away from you when you're trying to talk to them. This may be them reacting rather than acting out and being bad. So that's something to be mindful of, is, are they struggling right now, or is this a bad behavior that I need to redirect? PTSD is pretty serious and does need the help of a counselor to help retrain the brain with the stimulus and create a new narrative of I can be different in the future. I can have a more hopeful, more optimistic view of the future for myself. It takes a lot of deep work to get there, but there's a lot of great therapies that can help. EMDR is a wonderful therapy that is growing in the counseling field, and we actually have 2 counselors at JCAC who offer this style of therapy, both who work with adolescents. And so if you're interested in learning more, please click the link below to learn more about EMDR therapy. All right, last part. You notice some of these symptoms. You're not sure what to do as a parent, how to support them. All right, let's go through how to support them as a parent. First off, like I said earlier in the conversation, don't force them to talk about it. Invite them to conversation. If they're resisting the conversation, if they're avoiding, using supportive statements like, I'm here for you when you're ready. I know this is hard. I know how overwhelmed this can be. I've experienced scary things too. Help them kind of feel comfortable with the idea of having a conversation. Okay, we'll try again tomorrow. Tomorrow at noon, after school, or if it's on a Saturday at noon, we'll go get some coffee together and we can talk about it as little or as much as you want, but just know I'm here for you. With younger children, so that's with adolescents, kind of inviting them to conversation. With younger children, they don't have the cognitive or developmental ability to have a conversation. So I'm talking, 5 through 10 is a little bit more limited with the ability to have a verbal conversation about what they're thinking and feeling. So having more expressive options for them to let go or let you know how they're feeling. So this may be, let's draw how you feel about what happened. So with drawing, it doesn't always have to be pen and paper. One thing that with being online and remote with some of the counseling that we're doing, one thing some of my preteens have been teaching me is that you can draw on your iPhone with those little drawing apps. And so we've been doing a lot of scribble techniques with the colors. The colors represent some of the things we feel, and the scribble is kind of helping us release it. So that's been really helpful with the younger kids. Sometimes words, this is beyond words. Sometimes we just need to sit with someone and feel with them. And we can do that with art, with play, with different other expressive means. I'm going to be coming out with a video soon about how to help your child using expressive type techniques here soon. So if you're interested in seeing that when it comes out, hit the subscribe button because that'll be coming out here soon. So if trying to connect with your teenager, preteen, or child isn't working, you're noticing a lot of these symptoms, you're feeling really worried about them, because as a parent, in your stomach, your gut will be talking to you if you can tell your child isn't okay. It's okay to reach out for help. Sometimes them having a separate space than their home, getting out of their house, talking with someone else they feel like they can connect with, can help them break through this barrier that's hard for you as a parent to get through. And then also this counselor can help you in helping them, giving you feedback and ways you can reach to your child in the ways that work. To learn more about the counseling services we offer, click the link below. Also, you can schedule a time for us to call you. Now, when we call you, it'll be a counselor calling you, not some salesperson. It'll be a counselor to help you talk through what you're feeling, how you're worried, and help you find solutions. So if that's not us, that's okay. We're going to help you find solutions to help you and support you in moving forward and supporting your child. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it can help you with talking to your teenager and helping your teenager moving forward after this horrific video has been online. Take care.